Hello, it's Monday the 29th of April and we're going to look at crypto and Bitcoin ahead of Asian trading. And Asian trading is going to be very exciting tonight because although broader markets are looking at month end and a kind of quiet day Tuesday ahead of the Fed on Wednesday, in the crypto world, the Hong Kong spot crypto ETF debuts tonight or Tuesday morning in Asian trading. The first batch of Hong Kong listed spot Bitcoin and Ether ETFs will start trading and are expected to lift the market higher. So don't be surprised if we see a pretty nice bounce in those markets in Asian trading. And it's pretty cool because in Asia they will have Ethereum spot ETFs ahead of the US markets. Some people, I think anticipation of this has actually lifted Bitcoin off these lows. But if we look broader picture on the weekly, you can see that this has been a very bullish sideways consolidation, kind of really holding above 60,000 and 63,000 and the highs from 2021. Sorry, don't mean to repeat myself. So if we take a look at the correction that we have made, first off on the weekly, we're holding above all of our weekly moving averages in a pretty nice pullback so far. No kind of a bearish reversal, just a correction and sideways consolidation, which we have seen before, in halving periods. Sometimes they last a couple of months. Technically though, for me, holding this round number 60,000 level on a close basis and measuring from these highs, we reversed at exactly the equal measured move level that we were watching. 59,794 was the equal measured move measured from the high on the 14th of March. What's also really kind of interesting to me about this level is if we zoom out again here on the weekly and we measure all the way back from the lows that we made in November 2022. This was also the 236 fib, which for me in Fibonacci retrace trend levels is kind of the key level. If you hold this 236 fib level on pullbacks, you're still going higher, and that's exactly where we pulled back to, and that was that round number 60,000. Now, so we've had a pretty nice equal measured move. We've got bearish moving averages, and the first time back to them we've had this reversal. I do think whatever happens here, we are likely to see another leg higher here, and it's potentially this really kind of bullish ETF news in Asia and Asian trading and how it goes tonight. I think that may lift us higher. Now, if we're going to still be in a sideways range and kind of one of those wave fours where we do 5 waves things, I would still expect us to retest the highs of this sideways range and get above 70,000 again. If we were to just do a kind of bearish another equal measured move from this low, and I measure like this, and I would say then this is really a good way for targets. So if we continue higher from here, first target is going to be a retest of 66,500 and then 69,500 and then 71,000. Now on this short-term swing, I'm going to go down to an hourly chart. See how these hourly moving averages have been a little bit woolly and it's not quite clear. Well, if I put my fibs on from this high to this low, this 236 fib, going the other way from this high to low, trading above it now says this is it. For me, this is an hourly and a 4-hourly long entry setting up here, counter trend. And again, a retest of these highs and 66,500 first upside target, and then hopefully continue higher, and these Asian trading gets us out of this sideways range and sets us up for a retest of the highs. I am not prepared yet to say that I think that we are done with this correction in a new swing higher, just because previous halving corrections have kind of lasted longer, but I wouldn't rule it out with all of the macro news that's going on. So there's other stuff going on in crypto as well. Tomorrow is Binance's CZ's sentencing for failing to implement, anti-money laundering, know your customer stuff. I hope he gets off, actually. I don't think that he's not stolen anybody's money or anything. And yeah, so good luck to him. So waiting tonight to see how this ETF debut in Bitcoin and in Ethereum lifts the market. And what I'm really also interested in, if we take a look at ETH here. Now here on the monthly chart, I'm just going to take everything off. If we look at this lovely rally that we had off the low in 2019 in Ethereum against Bitcoin, looks to me like we had 5 waves up followed by a very nice 3-wave correction here, and I'm waiting for this one to turn up higher again as well. Now in this one I was also looking for a lovely 3-wave equal measured move corrective level, and so let's take all of these off. That is in ETH Bitcoin exactly what we've seen, and we've seen a strong reversal down here at these lows as well. So it really kind of when you get above the daily moving averages, which is what we have done here with this 20, I'm looking for a pullback and a higher low to continue higher again. Now this one isn't quite set up, and obviously if the demand in Asia for Bitcoin over ETH exceeds, then this isn't going to turn up higher, but it is one that I'm stalking for a pullback long entry in ETH against Bitcoin and ETH against dollar. Remember, high tide floats all the boats. And that's likely what we're going to see tonight. This is ETH US dollar. Let's put this back on the daily and see where we are with this one, because this is not quite so clear cut. Short term, bullish turning up again. If we look on the hourly here though, I kind of like it, to be honest. If I look at this kind of trend line support, it's a little bit kind of woolly and in the middle. But again, this swing that we are looking at here, if we get back above this 200 moving average, and with this Ether ETF tonight, I think that this could also be a pretty nice long entry. It's lagging Bitcoin at the moment because obviously they're pulling back. But for me, I do think we should see some more upside, and I think it's worth a little nibble just because of that bigger bullish pattern in ETH Bitcoin, which I'm hoping to work out. Now in this one, we've obviously made a much bigger 3-wave correction here on this is a 4-hour from the highs in the middle of March. Here's our 3-wave correction. If we measure, didn't quite make the measured move, but it's still for me a pretty bullish pattern, and in Ether Bitcoin, and I think again if Bitcoin goes up that the altcoins should follow. So one of the altcoins that let's do the request first actually. Let's take a look first off at Ripple. Ripple for me is not honestly my favorite because this has been such a tricky sideways range, and also when I look at this, what I don't like is this rejection from these weekly moving averages. So it feels like we are going very sideways in a choppy overlapping corrective pattern, and because the bigger trend comes from the highs obviously that we made in 2021, kind of makes me nervous that we're risking another leg lower. However, shorter term, just like all of these alts and everything else, we have made one of those equal measured moves where the third swing. So here from the high in July 2023 to the low that we made in August, I measured this first swing and projected it from here. When you make these 3-wave corrections, it's very common to have an equal measured move where they're equal, but it's also very common to have it where the third swing is 61.8 of this first swing. And that I think is what we are likely seeing here in Ripple. So when you measure the swings and you look for the targets, for me the first support is likely to be where this swing is 61.8 of the first one. So here we have an A leg and then a 3-wave correction for the middle swing, and here's our third swing. So this is a pretty good place to rally from. But if we zoom out again back to the weekly chart, we can see that this range is a really nasty kind of choppy no man's land, so high support and resistance levels. So for example, the resistance that we can't seem to get back above comes from the lows in January 2022 that was resistance, 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 and we're still underneath it. It's still resistance and a little bit tricky, and that's so back above 0.55. I think there is a good chance that we're going back to the top of this range. And the support comes from the high in June 2019. You can see that this is also an interesting support level. So we're chopping around in between 0.5 and 0.55. And you know, when you have those choppy sideways ranges, the bottom of the range is always a really good place to buy. So if we're going to re-challenge that 0.55, yes, this is not a bad place to buy at all. And you can see we've had a very nice pullback to the support. We are turning up again. So if everything rallies, if the high tide floats the boats tonight, I wouldn't be surprised if Ripple rallies as well. But your first target really should just be back to 0.55 and see what happens there. And if we can do another leg higher from there. So AMP request, let's take a look at AMP. And I'm glad we're looking at this one because this is quite an interesting chart. And you know, sometimes no matter what exchange you're trading on, if you've got a TradingView account, try and find the chart with the longest history. So I really like the Coinbase for AMP because it has a really long history. But if you were just looking at this on a different exchange, for example, if we were looking at it, I don't know, let's try Bitstamp, or let's try even Binance. It's hard to find it. Let's Binance against Tether. You can see that we don't have anything like the history that we have got from Coinbase. It doesn't go back as far. So I'm going to go back to Coinbase. So if we look at it on Binance Tether, these are the highs that we were looking at. And it's actually, so if you're using fib retraces or anything like that, the moving averages will work. But if you're using fib levels, they don't work so well. So you want the longest history. Now, if we do this with Coinbase, you can see that we have no way retraced back to that first 236 fib from the highs. And that would be my first target with this bullish. So all of our moving averages have gone bullish. Let's tidy up here. So my first target is going to be up here to these highs and 0.03 in AMP. Now that we've got a lovely bullish cross of all of these weekly moving averages, and we have pulled back to that weekly 20 moving average and found support. So very definition of a bullish cross of a trend. What I also like, and what we can do with this chart, is we can measure a fib retrace pullbacks from these lows. And if we do that here, you can see that we have pulled back very nicely here in the middle to this 61.8 fib level from these lows. And when you do that with these 61.8, in between the 61.8 and the 38.2 is kind of the golden ratio zone. You kind of sometimes go back and forward. Even if we do a reversal here, if you can get above the 50% level in the middle, you tend to go up to the 38.2, and then very often you'll come back to test this 50% and either continue lower or find support from it and continue higher. So it gives us really kind of good levels to confirm whether we're going up again. So we know that back above this 50% pivot level in the middle from the lows to highs would mean that we are going up again. It would also, because it's the daily 50 moving average, be quite a bullish reversal. So we can say above 0.00913 we are going up. First target will be 0.01095, and then I would expect we either go up here or potentially further, and then we will likely pull back to find support from those moving averages if we're going to keep going higher. And if we are still in a downtrend and this is just a three-wave bullish correction, bearish correction, and we are going to see another swing lower back to these lows and the 200-day moving average, which is down here at 0.0047, then this 0.009 will hold as a resistance. So makes it kind of really easy. Back above and holding above 0.00913 it's quite possible that the bottom is in. We have completed a very nice correction and we are on our way up again. And if we don't watch out, we could see one more swing lower. There's a really clear support and resistance level and the 200-day moving average down here at 0.0477, which probably lines up with that 786 fib. And if I put the 786 fib in, that's where it is. So above 0.00913, we're likely to see a much bigger bounce. If not, watch out. We could continue down to 0.00471 in AMP. Let's take a look at one more thing. So one more thing I'm watching at the moment is if we take a look at the semiconductors, or this is the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index, it looks to me like potentially we've made a pretty nice three-wave correction and back above this daily 50 moving average and breakout from here would mean another swing higher. And NVDA is certainly the most bullish of these. If I take a look at the daily chart here of NVDA, it's not quite so clear that we've got a channel the way we have in this semiconductor index that we can kind of look for a breakout of. But certainly this looks like a pretty good measured move. The problem is it's just like here, unless we can get out of this channel and unless we can get and hold above this daily 50 moving average, I feel like we're kind of in this position where we may just have a little bit of a, you know, false breakout and then another swing lower before we go up again. And this would mean, of course, back to this 200-day moving average. So because we can't draw the channel quite the same way, well, we can. The problem is until you've got three touches, you haven't really got a confirmed trend line. So another way to do it, of course, in NVIDIA is to put the fibs on from this high to low. See if we're kind of breaking out. We're at a 61.8 level. We are holding above this 50. I'm just watching to see if this can go a little bit higher, because if it can and it continues higher, we've got another week or so before we've got NVIDIA earnings. And if this semiconductor index breaks out, the AI crypto have been really tied to NVIDIA. If this starts another swing higher, then I wouldn't be surprised to see if AI cryptos don't see another move higher as well. And because a lot of these alts are setting up, and potentially, you know, if we get enough volume and interest in Hong Kong, that could be enough to lift it. If we look at what just the US ETFs did for Bitcoin here, it's quite a run. Certainly another run like that would be very welcome at this time to blast us out of the halving blues sideways chop. So yeah, keep an eye on those AI cryptos if NVIDIA keeps going higher as well. That's certainly what I'm watching. And I might do a separate video just on the AI cryptos that I like and are sitting up tomorrow. Let me know if there's one you'd like me to look at.